I'm ready.
Boom, shaka laka laka laka. Episode 2, Oilers Uncensored.
Dose.
You know how many responses I got for title ideas?
Zero.
Zero.
They must have really liked it.
I think so. Oilers Uncensored isn't all that bad for something we just came up with on the fly.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Except when we're going to get on the rabbit holes and we talk, I'm sure, probably not at the start, but at one point we're going to do a whole episode where we talk like 20 minutes of Oilers and the rest of it's just absolute random shit. But, oh well. How's your week?
It was good.
Yeah?
It was good. Did a little bit of work. The weather's getting kind of fucking cold here. It's snowing outside again today. But the playoff race is heating up.
Heating up, baby. Getting cold outside and hot in the barn. How's work? How's the course shaping up?
It's good. Still lots of snow out there, surprisingly, but it's starting to melt. We got a big fucking... Our sewer's getting dug up at the course.
Oh, boy. What's Buddy, the big foreman there? Is he getting all mad?
Beckwith?
No, the guy that turned the course around. And has
Oh, no.
everyone banging down the door.
It's not really nothing to do with him. It's right out in front of our clubhouse.
Oh.
It's like our actual sewer's all backed up. Our downstairs smells like poop.
Oh, that's probably your fault.
My course is just like me.
Your downstairs smells like poop. Oh, my God. That's awesome.
How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm having a really great week. I had a great week, Chase. Yeah. I really am. Yeah. No, it's been a really fun week. Haven't got much done, but yeah, really enjoyed. Really enjoyed. Yeah. How is my next question? How was the response that you got for the episode number 1?
I got a good response. My boss is listening to it. Some of my girlfriend's family has listened to it. So there's been a little bit of a response.
Connor McDavid reached out. He said he really liked it. Yamamoto said he'd love to come on just maybe after the season. You know,
they are pretty busy right now.
Yeah,
so
they are
busy schedule there.
Yeah. They got mind on task. No, same with me. I got tons of good response. Like I was, like not gangbusters on like the downloads or nothing. Like pretty similar to like lots of the other episodes of the Von Dubcast. But the response from people that did listen to it are like, "Holy fuck, it's fun." Well,
how are we on the ticket giveave? Has there been a
ticket giveaway? Yeah, I think there's probably been like, I'd say at least 10 to 12 people that have shared it. So I mean, you have a 8% chance of winning 2 Oilers tickets. That's pretty good.
That's not
bad.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. So we're recording this on Friday. Big game tomorrow against Vegas. Yeah. 4-point game on the swing on the magic number. And then probably Sunday, we'll do the draw Sunday night because the game's Thursday.
We'll announce a winner on Sunday night.
Yeah, we'll announce the winner of those. So if you're listening to this now, getting your little pregame Oilers in on Saturday morning, make sure you go share either this post for the second episode or the first episode. We'll just take anyone that has shared any of the Oilers Uncensored content.
It all counts.
It all counts, baby. It all counts. We're not picky. Good enough for the girls we date.
Yeah.
My favorite line. Beautiful. Yeah. And sorry, I guess the response was lots of people really said like, that was awesome content. I think had a couple confused Leaf fans reach out.
Yeah, I would like to apologize. Kind of a little bit of a PSA. There was one singular Leaf fan. So I'll make it to all Leaf fans. He was rather confused. He thought after listening to the podcast that the Oilers were in first place.
Right.
I just want to clarify that we know the Oilers aren't in first place. The Leafs aren't in first place either. But like I said, we're just a biased Oilers.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for.
So I do want to apologize for confusing some Leafs fans.
It's not that's not a high bar to confuse Leaf fans.
Hopefully in the future we can keep it a little simpler.
Yeah, we can keep it simple for them. Exactly. We'll talk very slow so that they can take it all in. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And yeah, he was also asking us about the parade route, and we did tell him that we are planning the parade, and it's
Secord Boulevard.
Yeah, it's going to go right by Chase's house, and then out to Sturgeon. Yeah, come by this place, and that's just they're
going to do speeches off the deck of Ingo's house.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. That's the perks of having the number 1 Oilers podcast in the world. Really,
you decide where the parade goes.
You decide. Yeah, no. So yeah, we are planning a parade. Sorry we confused them. We know they're not in first, but they might as well be, really. How the boys played this week, they might as well be. So I think that kind of walks us nicely right into the first segment of the week. Oh, and everybody, thank you for sending in your segments. We're going to get to them. We picked one segment from fan submissions this week. A lot of the submissions we think are more tailored to more like off-season stuff, like the draft day and a lot of those things. So we did take them all in. We really enjoyed them. We might put another thing out for more segments because we really like them. But we had a great fan submission we'll be adding in today. And I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, week review.
Yeah.
Week review. So first game since we missed was Saturday.
Last Saturday nighter, Colorado.
Right. What'd you think of that game?
I thought it was another like kind of classic showdown. They had a month or so ago. They played them in Colorado, made it to OT again. Kind of a heartbreaker, both of them OT losses, but I thought they I thought they held their own. I thought, like I said, they always play up to their competition. They seem to be playing Colorado well. I'm excited for next Friday to do it all over again.
And I don't know if we said this on the pod last time. I'm sure we did. But if you can come out of 2 showdowns with Colorado in a month and come out with 2 points, you can't really ask for anything more than that in the West, right? Yeah. And they played pretty well, right? And I think Oilers are notorious for this, but they really play to their competition. When they play someone like Colorado, it really seems to elevate. Against Minnesota, elevated, right? They played good, got kind of titty smacked, but they played good. And then same thing with Nashville yesterday, right? They kind of rolled through them.
Yeah.
And then we see sometimes they'll play a Vancouver or an Ottawa or something. It's a little bit of a different story, but I'd almost rather that. Here's a question for you off the dome. Would you rather your team play to their competition or just be steady Eddie, the kind of the same game and whoever comes in? Because
beat up on teams lower than them.
Yeah, and lose to the teams that are above them. Like,
I don't know. I think I would pick steady Eddie.
You think so?
I think so.
The only thing
because I think if the Oilers are steady Eddie, they still compete with the Colorados of the league.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Because they're in first place. They're first place team, baby.
Yeah.
No, but I actually think that. I think where they are now, I think if they play down to their competition, they're playing down to 75% of the league.
Right.
Whereas I think if they're steady Eddie, they're always better than that 75%. Maybe you drop the odd few. But then I think then I think they're right there with the top 10 teams in the league. They're probably not, they'd probably lose the majority to the Colorados of the world, the Floridas, the Maple Leafs. I hate to say it, but I think that's where I'd go with that one.
And
what about you?
I think I would agree with you. And I might not have until you just put it so well, but
eloquently.
I think so eloquent and prophetic too. The only counterpoint I would say to it is it's kind of nice to have that extra gear when they do go against those guys, because when the crunch time comes and you're in the playoffs, you kind of want that elite engine, right? But history hasn't shown that. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'd rather steady.
And I think playoffs are a different animal. I think once they're in the playoffs, like, it's a new season. I truly believe that. I think anybody can beat anybody.
Goalie gets hot.
Yeah.
So going into this week, maybe we can start there with goaltending. So Colorado was...
Koskinen played against Colorado.
Yeah, and he played well.
He looked well. Yeah,
he looked really
good.
Well. Yeah, he looked well.
No, he looked good. I don't think there's anything to complain about there. He made 33 saves.
I don't think he I think it was 0-0 for most of that game, wasn't it?
Yeah. Nurse scored kind of that... No, Fogle deflected it, I believe.
Right.
Or it went off a stick, and then the goal that Koskinen let in was not his fault at all. And then shootout... It's skills comp.
Who gives a shit?
Anything can happen. He got beat by Rantanen and McKinnon. You can't blame him.
Exactly.
There either. So
no blame on that.
McDavid and Draisaitl didn't score. Their superstars scored, and that was kind of the difference in the game. So and I thought he had a good showing.
And really, if the Oilers can get it to the point where superstars get hauled off the board and it's that close, like, because forever the Oilers would only win when their superstars were getting 2 or 3 points, right? And it's nice to see against a team like Colorado that they can really go toe to toe, bottom to bottom, if you will.
Bottom to bottom. Toe to toe, bottom to bottom.
I love going bottom to bottom. Just like being big spoon and little spoon, if you flip around, it's just bottom to bottom.
It's just
bottom to bottom.
Bottom to bottom.
One of my favorite positions.
Yes.
So then that rolls us into the game against Minnesota, which you didn't get to see. You were busy that night, I think.
Yeah. I had something going on, but
my breakdown of it.
Yeah.
I don't think the score reflects what a great game that was for Edmonton. I thought Edmonton played one of their best games of the year. That intensity, I think it carried into Nashville, and you got to see a lot of it.
That's a bold play, saying they played their best game of the year, lose 5-1.
That's what I'm saying. It was because it was this, like, it was the highest ability that Edmonton could play to, with still their defensive liabilities were out there, right? Like, they got burnt, but like the plays they got burnt on, they made on the other end of the ice, and Talbot bailed them out. I thought McDavid was unbelievable.
Yeah, you said he was buzzing all night.
Buzzing. Like, and when he gets going like that, the whole team responds. And that's what you could see.
Yeah,
and what filled me with joy the whole time was that they were kind of getting down in it, but they never gave up, which for the last couple of years, it's been kind of classic Oilers. They let a couple in, right? And it was wire to the wire. It was kind of a track meet, and the bounces just didn't go their way. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think the score 5.
How did you think Koskinen played that night? I mean, he gave up 5 goals on 23 shots.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was tough, but lots of them were.
Any glaring weak ones?
I think there might have been 1 or 2 weak ones, but a lot of them were there's nothing you can do, right? Like huge defensive breakdown, big one-timer, you're trying to come across or something, right? Like I don't remember specifically their goals. I think my mind just blocked out the bad stuff and I just really remember all the good stuff, but just like how they were playing, they were coming out, and it just reminded me of playoff hockey. And it so excited me and inspired me for the playoffs coming up, because if they can all elevate and play like they did against Minnesota, I'm pretty happy with because Minnesota's a really good team too. You know, they're stacked to the teeth.
I think one of the biggest storylines coming out of that game too that I saw the day after and kind of read about, watched, was the Evander Kane scrum with Ryan Hartman. I'm not sure.
Oh right, yeah,
I'm not sure.
I'm
not sure what led up to that.
He must have said something rank, because like for the play, like the on ice play of what you could see on TV, it did not dictate that amount of anger. So I'm wondering if he said something kind of crazy.
Who, Evander?
Maybe. Or or someone on the ice said, like, it just looked like there was an elevation that you missed. Like it seemed like, whoa, they're going crazy. And like it's not like there was a bad hit or a bad slash or nothing.
I've heard some things, like, and kind of watching it on the video replay, like it didn't, lots of people are saying it didn't look like many of the Oilers were
defending him,
totally willing to jump in there. And Ryan Hartman even said in his comments after the game, he said, I don't think that's a guy anybody want to steps in for. Like, I think he took it to an extreme. I don't think the Oilers would do that. But what did you think? Do you think there could have been a bit more action taken?
This is what I'm saying. I definitely saw that, like what you're saying. I didn't hear that, but thinking back to it, for sure you could see that. But it looked like Hartman and Kane were so mad at each other over something you couldn't see, and almost everybody on the ice was like, "Okay, like what are you guys?"
Hartman didn't really seem to be mad until the linesman got there.
That's fair. But I mean, it's Evander Kane. I wouldn't be mad till I had at least two zebras in between me. Like, you motherfucker. You know, like, I can't blame him for that. Yeah. But then he flipped him off, apparently.
Well, that's the Evander Kane factor too, right? Like, I think
I don't mind if he's getting under skin, because who else on the team is going to get under people's skin?
Oh, yeah.
Cassian gets under his skin in a different way, but he just scares people because he's so fucking crazy. You can see people are like, I don't even want to fucking mess with you, man. I'm going to stay as far away from you. I'm not going to interact.
He's got psycho eyes too.
He does. He has the crazy size in the league. Here's a question. Crazy size in the league.
Well,
I think Cassian's got to be in the top 3.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it. Oh, what's that? Tanev's got some crazy eyes, but he doesn't have the scariness
Tanev's
to back it up.
They look
cross-eyed.
A little bit.
Cross-eyed, lazy-eyed. Googly-eyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Cassian's up there.
He's gotta.
Yeah.
Can you
Radko Gudas?
Radko Gudas.
He's got some crazy eyes.
He does, yeah. Oh, I feel like we're missing a big one. I feel like Lucic has scary eyes, not crazy, but he gets a look on it.
All around kind of scary, is he not?
For sure, one of the scariest guys in the league,
especially with his blonde hair.
Yeah, I think that looks terrible.
It does. It's not a good look. It's not a good.
But I mean, hey, we're not banging.
No.
Yet. You
never. The Oilers are going to be about to be fucking.
Okay, as it sits right now, how many rounds would Edmonton and Calgary have to make before they meet?
Just one.
Just one. Second round.
Yeah. So if let's say theoretically, as Calgary lines up as first, Edmonton's going to be in that 2-3 slot,
the 2-3 hole.
They'll see each other in the second round if they both win.
Because
so the possibility's there.
So now,
but it has been the last 2-3 years, and it just hasn't worked.
It's fizzled. But I would say almost, and maybe this is recency bias, which it probably is, but I would say almost this year's chance is the best. Of like when you look back the last couple of years, you kind of knew going into it that. I don't know. I didn't. I definitely had my rose-colored glass. I thought Oilers going all the way every year. Yeah. How I'm a fan, but like I don't.
But honestly, I did too. Calgary. I mean, 2 years ago when they lost got swept by Chicago in that stupid COVID bubble, best of bullshit. 5 first round. Like I try to block that out as much as I can.
Did that even happen?
But it was a tough showing. Like,
yeah.
They kind of went out with a fluff. Mm-hmm. I said swept, right? I think it was 3-1. Yeah. Regardless, it felt like a sweep. It might as well have been a sweep. Yeah. Get me the fuck out of there. I don't want to. That was horrendous.
It was bad.
They shouldn't have even been in that. They should have had that bye. Mm-hmm. But on the point, they were in the standings, points wise higher, points percentage. They got bumped down and had to play that 5 versus 12 slot and lost. I've never been more sour at the end of a year.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. That was a tough end of the year for me.
Because that was the thing. We were a little bit different on that. Like after we lost like that, we were both pretty sour. But the difference was going into it, you were already pissed before the games had even been played that we got bumped out of that because that was bullshit. Why do we got to play this play-in? And I was just so elated that we even had a chance for playoff hockey that I was like, fuck it, it doesn't matter. And in my head, I'm thinking we were about to kick the shit out of Chicago. It doesn't matter. Like there's no way.
And not only that, we got bumped out of the 4th spot. I have in my notes here the McDavid 100-point season robbery was that same year.
Right.
It had 64 games played. Mm-hmm. The guy had 97 points. So you always see on TV the last couple of weeks when you hit 100 there, he's had 5 100-point seasons before the age of 26. And there was only a very few to do that. And like Gretzky had 8 or something. And he he should have 6. Like he should be up there and
possibly a little bit of a hot take for me. I think his rookie season, the way he was heating up, I think he could have got 100 that season if he didn't get hurt. He broke his collarbone.
Yeah.
You know,
injury's a different thing though. When it's
you're right.
Scenario that just absolutely robbed us of a whole season.
Well, what do they say? Availability is the best asset or something like there's some sort of saying about that. Like it all doesn't matter. You got to be there to play.
Yeah.
Another little thing. I don't know if we discussed this last time. The Ironman streak for Yandel getting snipped.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
I don't know. I think it's he was very close to 1,000. That's the only thing that if it was like 870, not a huge deal. I don't think, but 1,000 is
especially with
a pretty
Philadelphia.
Big mark too,
and especially with Philly being so poo. Right? Like I get at the end of the year, you want to bring up some young guys, you want to give them ice time, you want to figure some shit out, but also like dress them as a forward, do something, figure it out. Like you can.
In all fairness, though, I think I saw a stat. Yandel is like minus 40.
He's having a tough go,
the worst plus minus in the whole league. So I mean, I think a little bit of that. This might also be a hot take because I know a lot of people are fired up about that. Yeah. I think when it gets to Yandel's point in his career, there comes a point where
you're gonna have to hang it up at some point. You're not
well, and also you can't just rely on pity from the coach to keep playing you for the streak. The onus has to be a little bit on you to stay in the lineup. And I think he maybe understood himself that his play wasn't up to snuff. He's dash 41 on the year. Like he's been struggling. Philly's been struggling the whole team.
Yeah.
So I think the onus has to be a little bit on him to play well enough to stay in the lineup other than some Joe Blow they called up from college to take a look at the end of the year. Like I think he had to play better too. It sucks.
For sure. But here's another thing that I just kind of thought about.
But now Dirty Phil. He has the longest, I think,
That's
active.
Great. That's
so
great.
I'm okay with
longest
that.
active. And he's not far behind on that. He's in the 800s at least, isn't he?
Yeah, he's up there, I think.
Yeah, I think he's getting close to 900. Yeah, look it up. But one thing I was going to say is exactly on that of like his talent has not been holding him in the lineup, and I think it's kind of been overdue. But I think he's such a goofball and such a well-loved guy in that dressing room, in any dressing room he's ever been on. He's one of the funniest guys in the league.
965.
So he's
for
right
Dirty
up there.
Phil.
Yeah, he's going to hit 1,000 games next year.
I love that when his kid was getting born the other day, and the coach let him. He was prepared to play the whole game. He said, "I'm playing this Ironman streak." And coach put him out for one shift. Yeah, he damn near scored 2-on-1, like kind of rolled it past the far side, and then his coach said, "Nah, dude, take off, go see your kid,"
which is awesome. Yeah, but that's what I think with the Yandels. I think for a long time he was kind of already like the only reason it hadn't happened before this was that he was such a good guy in the room. Everyone loved him so much that they were kind of holding him. And then it gets to a point where, okay, we can't just keep you on because you're a good guy and because everyone loves you. There's a certain point where that's going to flip, like you say, and that onus is on you. Like I'm sure he was always doing everything he could to be that guy and to be good in the room, but your skill, your talent on the ice is eventually what's going to come due on that. Yeah. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. And then, that wild game, I guess we got off our weekly recap here a little bit, but that's what we do. We get on the tangents. Yeah. I thought that game could have been better. Could have been a lot worse. Yeah. I really liked the biggest thing that come out of it was how well McDavid played. Like that was one of the best games, especially I get it in a 5-1 loss, but I just thought he was a mutant out there. Yeah. And when he gets going like that,
you can tell he's starting to catch that next gear already and probably come playoff time, it's going to amp up a little bit more. I think he's just greasing the wheels.
So this will be just purely conjecture on our part. There's no evidence we could have for this, but I'm curious what you think the reasoning was, because we definitely saw a couple different McDavids this year. We saw the start of the year where he came out like that, looked like that battle to hell was absolutely unbelievable, and then hit a streak in the year where he was not playing like he usually did. And I think there's a couple of options the way I see it. Either he kind of given up on old Coach K there, Tippett, thank you. Or he's playing through a little something, sickness, hurt. Yeah. Don't know what it is.
I think that was kind of that cold streak. It was snowing a lot. I think maybe his heated driveway quit working and he had to shovel.
And all that extra energy.
His back got
his
sore.
His girl was looking pretty good. Maybe he was putting in extra cardio outside. You never know. You never know. That's what I'm saying. We never know. But if you had to throw your guesses out, are you going driveway? Is that your guess?
I'm saying driveway. I don't think there's anything to do with him. It's not his fault. It's
never his fault.
It's in some circumstance outside of his control and I'm going driveway.
I'm going driveway. Okay. Well, if we're going outside his control, I'm going to go. Someone had a voodoo doll. I think Fraser Oliver, the little sour leaf sand, saw what streak he's on. He got a little voodoo doll of him, and he, was giving little pokes in the bum when he's trying to play. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's really no explanation for it. I think he just.
And honestly, if you're going to keep playing like you are right now, I don't give a fuck. I forgot already.
I think maybe that's the reason why he is playing like he is right now, and maybe he understands that you can't go mock chicken, buck 10, full bore all year, or else by the time you get to this point,
and I think that happened in the last 2 playoff runs, the Chicago sweep, and
not saying he's purposely conserving energy and not playing well, but I think maybe he just didn't have it there for that month or two and felt a little run down for whatever reason,
and even just mentally, because like the physical assets aren't going away to gain in the game, but that's a lot on your mind to play in that fucking mutant mode where you are like, Michael Jordaning it, right? Where you're just redlining your body, pulling everyone with you, being that prick, like just nothing's going to stop you. That's a lot, probably, I would imagine. I've never been there. You probably are pretty close to that when you used to play at RF Staples back in Westlock. You probably experienced a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I've never seen that myself.
And in LDL.
Oh, the LDL, playing dodgeball. Yeah, top of the heap, really.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Hall of Famer. So you know what? Like I said, doesn't matter what was happening. If he plays like he's playing now,
he's here now.
Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. So then it went into
let's move on to last night, Nashville.
Yeah, that was a good game. Finally got to watch a game together for the first time in a week. Yeah, that was a good game. Had a
Flames fan in the house. He was even appreciating the beauty of a Draisaitl hat trick.
And I don't want to deter or deflate there's another D word I'm missing for it. I don't want to devalue Draisaitl's hat trick, but I feel like a big pat on the back. I think it was a lot of how McDavid came in the wild game and then rolling that in Nashville, how he's playing. I feel like Draisaitl always really, really steps up when McDavid's really bucking. The whole team. But it's most noticeable with Draisaitl because he has the highest skill level. You're going to see the gap, right? You know, Archibald's really playing hard. You're going to see it in a couple little things. Because they're all on the road, so we haven't seen Archibald. Yeah. That's fucking bullshit. Did we talk about that last time?
I don't think so. Do you want to get going on a COVID tangent?
No, let's finish our week recap. But I'd like to talk about Archibald at some point. We'll add that in. We'll go after your section. Then I'll add Archie talk. Yeah,
I think last night there's not a heck of a lot to talk about. I think they were sound, pretty much bell to bell. I think Smith was solid. He looked really solid. He didn't have much to face though. I think defensively that might have been one of their better performances in the last little bit. Everything was from the outside. Nothing was super high danger. Smith had a fairly easy night, and power play was unreal. Penalty kill was good.
Power play was
buzzing. Like I said last pod, I think more than anybody knows, I think that power play runs a lot through Nuge.
I couldn't agree more. I was going to say the same thing.
He made that unreal, one touch pass in the slot there for Dries first. And I think he's just made that power play an animal. Like it was still not where it was right at the beginning of the season when it was running 50 some stupid percent, but it's getting there, and it's been almost 50% since Nuge came back from his injury there. So
fuck, that's awesome. The only thing that scares me is how you never want to become dependent on it, because in the playoffs, especially the Oilers the last couple of years,
sure.
Like again, I hate bringing up reffing because it just sounds like the biggest cop out, and every team thinks they get fucking hosed, but we had one power play in the sweep against Montreal last year. It was bullshit. They didn't call it Winnipeg. Montreal. Because they went on and Montreal swept Winnipeg after they swept us. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Also, I've just blocked out that we lost to Winnipeg. That's been blocked out. I don't remember that. So I think you're right. Kind of tidy little game.
Yeah. I think interesting. I wanted to talk about too. An interesting little wrinkle last night is they ran 11 forwards, 7D again. I think when Woodcroft first came in, he did that a little bit.
But Tippett never used to do that.
Tippett never did that. I'm just wondering your thoughts on that, because I think Chris Russell had a really good game last night. He laid a huge hit on whoever he hit there.
I can't remember who he hit.
Laid him out that kind of made me stand up, and that was a big hit. And I think Russell, he's such a good penalty killer. I think he's like Nugent for the power play. I think he's kind of a little bit of an unsung hero on the penalty kill. He blocks a lot of shots. So what do you think? Do you like that 11-7? Because I think about it this way: Russell, he penalty kills, he does all that. I think he does more than I know you're a big Archibald guy, but the two guys they sat out, like Devin Shore, Brassard. I think having that extra guy on the back end, like Russell, who can kill penalties and do that, I think he does more for your team. He fills in a niche.
Right. So I think where I'll go with this one is, I think there's a point. I think it depends on your forward depth and exactly what you said of which guys you're sitting out, because I felt like there was a time in the year where we had Benson in, a couple of those guys you just mentioned. We had 4 4 guys in the lineup that are all like, you maybe should have one of them in. And it's like, okay, maybe at that time was the time to throw that guy in. Now that when we got Kane, that was good. And we got Puljujarvi and Nuge back and now Archie back. I think that kind of bumps it down. And I agree that if your defense, and I think also we've had such a weak D core that, the 7th D would kind of be rough, but Russell was hurt all the time. So he was kind of that guy in that swing spot. Yeah. I think you make a good argument for it. I think it kind of depends how they're rolling. I like to have both options though, because then you can kind of play the hot hand. If you have, if Archibald's coming in like a mutant and you don't want to sit him out, you can roll 60.
I especially like it late in the year, I think too, because it 2 different ends of the ice time spectrum. One, on the front end, McDavid and Draisaitl probably see a little bit more time, which is never a bad thing. If you're kind of missing that third forward, McDavid or Dry probably run a little bit, double shift on that fourth line every once in a while. So you get them out just a little bit more even strength.
Yes.
And then on the other side, I think Nurse was their leading ice time guy. He didn't even play 21 minutes last night,
which is perfect because he's been averaging about like 23, 24 all year.
4-0 games, you can give Nurse a little bit of a rest. CC's been playing a lot lately.
He's been playing good too.
So no D-man played more than 21 minutes, which I think is good, amping up for the playoffs because, like you saw last year, I don't know how Woodcroft is going to run it, but Nurse played a stupidly large amount of ice time in the playoffs last year. That overtime game against Winnipeg, and he played
like a thoroughbred.
Oh yeah,
coming to the pole
like a thoroughbred here. Jack Michaels.
Yeah, Chase loves and Jack Michaels says coming to the pole like a thoroughbred.
Yeah,
he only says it like once every second game, also.
Once a period.
Yeah. And I think just to add on to that, I agree with you, but I think just to add on to it, another layer to it is when you get McDavid and Draisaitl, those couple extra minutes bumped into the lineup, kind of spurs them in, because the whole team runs through them. They're the engine that runs the team. Really gives that jolt to the rest of the forwards, and it keeps them on that momentum, keeps that momentum rolling where you can kind of get those shifts. Because when the Oilers get rolling for 3-4 shifts at a time, they're dominant the ozone. They're just as dominant as any team in the league. It's just that we're kind of defensively inept. At times. We have some breakdowns at times. We puck watch a bit, hey? In the back end. How many times do you see like 3 or 4 Oilers kind of look at the guy with the puck and just like way open the other side? But how do you fix that? Like, I just don't. How does that my first question and thought to myself is, how do you get into that situation? Because you'd think that would be player by player. You wouldn't think that would ever be a team thing. That would be kind of a singular play. Like, how do you ever get enough guys that would be an issue for a team? You think, I don't know what I mean?
I don't know.
And maybe I'm just overlooking at it. Maybe I just don't know how to play in the NHL, and that's kind of how you play. But it seems like when I watch other teams, it's not as common. It still happens. It's going to happen to every team. It's just kind of how hockey plays. It's quick, and you look the wrong way. It seems like there's a lot of times where we have at least 3 guys on the ice, all faced at the puck and away from the rest of the ice.
Yeah, for me, I think it may come down to just guys wanting to do a little bit too much.
Yeah, and we've had that problem for years.
Especially if you're giving up a few, or you feel like you're hemmed in your own end, or then it's kind of the same on the offensive side. Sometimes McDavid or Draisaitl try and do a little bit too much, and I think the same thing can happen defensively to anybody. I think if you feel like, okay, we're hemmed in, I need to go get this puck from this guy. Yeah. So, and you start getting a little tired. You start maybe lose who you're covering, and then you think, well, I don't know who I'm covering. I'm just going to take the puck.
Yeah.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
Maybe guys try and do a little bit too much out there defensively and say, okay, I read this. I'm going to cut him off here. And there's 3 or 4 guys trying to read the puck and decide what the puck carrier's doing. And they kind of lose themselves in the defensive zone. I think
get lost in the sauce. You can
who knows? I could be totally wrong, but I think
that's a pretty good answer. That's the best thing that I've heard come up for it.
Yeah.
Not that it's funny because I feel like the things we talk about for like the issues we see, you don't really hear it on the broadcast. I feel like they kind of pick a few things that they always kind of hammer on. There's always like little things that I think we come up with. And maybe that's because we're idiots and we're way off.
Doing it live is probably a heck of a lot tougher too.
True. And you kind of have to have planned sections and stuff. Yeah. I mean, if they want us to come in live and do a couple shows a year, I mean, we probably could swing something. We check our calendars.
I'd volunteer.
Who knows? You and Jack Michaels. You and Gene. Oh my God. So just to anything else on Nashville? Smith played.
One more point I wanted to bring up now with Nashville and Minnesota, kind of a little. Oh yeah. So now the Oilers have won 6 in a row against the Nashville Predators, dating back to probably COVID year because they didn't play them at all last year. And the Wild is the opposite. They're 0-6 their last 6. Yeah. I can't really think of a reason why. Like, you think it would have to be something to do with clashing styles or they just matchups. But what do you think? Like, why do they struggle so much with Minnesota? I remember them struggling with Minnesota decades
ago.
Like,
and that's the thing too. Nashville used to have our number forever.
I know. And
well,
now that's
Pecorine used to absolutely shove it up her hoop all the time. And it was
tough
UC
luck. Struggles.
And UC's a wicked goalie. Like I even asking you, I was like, "Oh, is UC playing?" Like that sucks ass. You know,
and I, like I said, I don't have a reason for it. I just know that's a kind of a funky stat. That
it is kind of
caught
funky.
my eye.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the pace of play. Like the only thing I thought was against Nashville for a lot of years they've been kind of a defense dominant team, and a lot of it is like offensive defense. You know what I mean? Like they always have like kind of high flying offense from their back end.
Yeah, they used to have Ryan Ellis and Yossi still. Yeah.
And Subban and that was kind of that was kind of their core identity, right? And their forwards had like a couple skill guys that could get them goals, but that wasn't really their game. They weren't like a Tampa Bay that's just going to run you over with goals of Florida, right?
Yeah.
And maybe just Edmonton matches up a little bit better against that because they can kind of take whereas it was a track meet against the Wild and kind of Nashville, right? Like they kind of played a similar game, but against the Wild capitalized on like their opportunities and Talbot really bailed them out. And it seemed like in this Nashville game is a very similar game. And it was kind of going back and forth, but whatever it was about the style, they were able to get a little bit more foothold, a little bit more dominance in that offensive zone.
Yeah. I think Minnesota plays a really heavy game too. They got some big,
and the Oilers have never matched up good against heavy teams since I don't know, 06.
Ever.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. No, that'd be my only guess for it. And even that's like a half fleshed out idea. I mean, it's not even all that great, but yeah, I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll have to keep that as something to look at for the next games. We won't play either of those teams again this year. Hey,
no.
Okay.
Hopefully not Minnesota in the playoffs. I think honestly, out of
all the playoff teams,
every team in the West, I think
other than Colorado,
I don't know, man.
You'd rather play Colorado than many. I'd say that's the one team. I'd agree with you other than Colorado. I wouldn't want to play Colorado.
Fuck, I would. I think you go up against McKinnon, and for some reason, I don't know. I think McDavid's got it in his guts that he's got to beat McKinnon. But Colorado's more than just McKinnon, I guess. But
they're pretty solid.
You could probably be right there. But Minnesota is a very close second in my eyes. I think I would not want to play those fuckers.
Honestly, I agree with you about. I think McDavid could have McKinnon's number, and I think he would put it up.
But it's so much more than that.
It's Cale Makar. Yeah. I'm way more worried about Cale Makar than
Rantanen and Kadri, who's always been a little prick in McDavid's side.
Like, him and Kadri
back to the Leafs days. And
you're right.
Never a fan of that matchup.
Yeah. But hopefully they get knocked out first round against like fucking Nashville or something. Yeah. We don't have
it looks like they're lining up against St. Louis in that 2-3 in the other division. So that could be a good series.
2-3 in the other division. Mm-hmm. Colorado's going to be number one in the West.
Sorry, I thought I was on Minnesota there.
Oh, I got you. So Colorado should be lined up against Nashville or Dallas
or Vegas. Vegas will probably squeak into the 3.
Yeah. You think
so? Could that lead us into
of course
my segment?
Hell yeah.
Chase's questions?
Yeah, Chase's questions.
Okay,
you gotta get a better name than Chase's questions. But I like it.
Chase's ponderments.
Yeah. Whoa. I didn't even know you knew that word.
Is ponderment a word?
I think so, yeah.
I thought I just made it up.
Pondry.
Okay. Who would you rather play in the first round?
Between?
Kings or the Golden Knights? I think that's probably... That's shaping up unless something
drastic
happens.
Travast. Now we're just making up words. We need a cough button in here.
And the Oilers, unless a travesty happens, the Oilers drop down to the wild card. It's going to be the Kings or Golden Knights. And I think with the way things are shaping up, Kings are on a bit of a slide. No Doughty, no Dustin Brown, no Andreas Athanasiou. It looks like it probably
they're not going to win without Athanasiou.
No. The guy's dating Nelly Corda.
Whoa. Do you think he should get paid a little bit more on his salary for dating Nelly Corda? Do you think
no, she
the Kings should look at it? Yeah, she does. You're right.
So Kings or Golden Knights, I think.
Here's my question for you. The Doughty and who else did you say was the other big injury?
Dustin Brown.
Are they out? Like, are they going to be out into the playoffs? Are they going to be back for playoffs?
I don't think Doughty's going to be back at least until playoffs. So I think,
then I think we're probably going to be in for Vegas.
Yeah,
I would say, given all those injuries, I would rather play LA. Here's my caveat, though. I do worry about style of play and what the Oilers match up with. I think Vegas is on paper a scarier team. And if you're just looking no matchup wise of just
$100 million team.
Exactly. $100 million team, right? In the playoffs. And I do think that I've always thought, not me, everybody thinks this. I think this is pretty common, but that Stone is the heart and soul of that team and the crowd. Everyone loves Stone there. And without him, that is not even the same team. You can't even really make comparisons. Having said that, I think the Oilers match up best against their type of play. I think when teams play them heavy, kind of like Winnipeg did to us, kind of like Chicago did to us, right? Like in the playoffs where you don't get as much leeway, there's not as much space, or there's not as much time. I kind of worry about us against a team like LA. But I think the disparity of skill between the $100 team, I think that overtakes that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I'm with you. Except I'm a lot more heavy on I want to play LA.
Yeah.
Like I think the way they're playing right now, it just seems like they're petering out a little bit. I don't know if it's a lack of no doubty, a lack of kind of that spiritual leader, but their last game they just got absolutely smacked around by Colorado.
Yeah.
Like they just seem to be losing a little bit of gumption. They almost are seeing the inevitableness of the Golden Knights coming.
Yeah.
Vegas
and Golden Knights has such an easy schedule.
Yeah.
So
and they just, I thought their toughest matchup, the one game they were supposed to lose was last night against Calgary. I didn't think the Flames could be any more useless to me, but last night was a 6-1 beatdown at the Saddle Dome. So
they're an absolutely elite team unless it can help the Oilers, and then they're just like the fucking
absolute pancakes out there. So I think I'm on board for the Kings. I think the Golden Knights will be tough. I think going into that barn in Vegas is wild.
That is a big deal.
I don't think there's another barn like that other than Rogers Place in the playoffs.
And LA is not a fucking like. Do they even have a home ice advantage? Like they'll probably, if they match up with LA, there's probably
what is Vince Vaughn gonna bang on the glass and
Bert Kreischer in the corner throwing his tarp off?
Like it's just a bunch of celebs who
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. That doesn't get the boys. They're not going to go nuts. They're not going to be like me and you and Rogers losing our minds, staying there after a loss for 40 minutes till the cleaning crew kicks us out because we're crying.
And I think Vegas is in a lot similar position where the Oilers are, where they've had the last few playoff seasons have left a sour taste in their mouth. They have Jack Eichel. I think they're a little bit motivated. They're heating up.
Yeah. They got to be in their bonnet.
They're trending in different directions. So I think the Kings all day long is who I'd want to play.
And I'm kind of more agreeing to that. I kind of wanted to show both sides to give the conversation, but I would much rather play LA. I think even give them Doughty and Brown and fucking I don't know.
Give them everyone.
Give them everyone. Yeah. They're going to need everyone for anybody to come up against fucking McDavid and co. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing we missed. Magic number. What's the magic number at? What was your prediction? It was.
I was saying it's going to be down to 7 or 8 by the time we do this pod.
I think I said like 10,
and it's 10. It's down to 10.
Or
the
11.
Oilers,
I might have gone.
It's 10.
Yeah.
So it's down to 10 now. So really they have 7 games left. I think they're. Oh, this could. I think they're in the clear. I'm
gonna knock on some wood.
I think a magic number of 10 points is easy. Yeah. And
how many games left?
7.
7 games, 10 points.
And Vegas has 7 games left
against fucking nobody.
They play each other tomorrow night. If the Oilers can win that game, I think they're.
Then I think it's because that's a 4-point swing, right? So that's if it's at 10 now, it would be 6 in 6 games.
Yeah.
And does Vegas have any hard games after Oilers? Or is it just like Vancouver and shit?
I could peep their schedule here.
Give it a little peep. Little poop peep. Oh, Rem Dogs. We got Rem Dogs in the pod studio today, and he's. Him and
Ahsoka both don't really like the pod studio. We got to get them a little used to it.
Yeah, we got to get a little dog run in here, one of those little hamster wheels. I don't go back. Can you imagine this idiot on a hamster wheel? Oh, buddy. I think he can hear me talking in his voice. I probably should stop that. He's getting all fired up. Yeah, but that's what's so tough.
Yeah, the Golden Knights have us tomorrow, New Jersey, Washington, San Jose, Dallas, Chicago, St. Louis. So Washington, St. Louis. There's some good teams. Their last couple weeks, I think, were the really easy stretch.
Yeah, so they've had their easy time. Yeah.
Now they're in the thick of it a little.
And I remember looking up LA's at one point, and it wasn't. I think it was kind of middle of the round. They had some easy games.
LA has 6 games left. Not one is against a playoff team. So they probably have the easiest road. So I think if LA were to sneak in and make something happen in the playoffs, it's probably due to their schedule. I think they're set up to
let's hope that they fucking win out and keep Vegas out of there, because I agree we don't want to play them. So that's magic number. What's your next Chase's question?
Chase's burning questions.
Yeah.
Here, give me 1 second. I'm going to
pause this.
Yeah.
Wrong button. Okay, we're back.
Okay, my apologies there. Remy is on the cheese now. We are good to go.
He's got his cheese stick. He's good. He's chomping.
The next one of Chase's burning questions. I have the biggest question mark for the Oilers heading into the playoffs. If, God forbid, the Oilers come out, maybe don't win the first round or get knocked out in the second round, what would you foresee as being the reason for that? What is their biggest question mark that you would maybe like to see a little bit of sharpening up or tuning before the playoffs start? What do you think might cause them?
I think
issues?
I think common general wisdom is going to prevail. Everyone's going to say goaltending, and I think that's fair. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if that was the thing. But
I think it's such a low hanging fruit.
Exactly, that's low hanging fruit, and that's and even how low that fruit is hanging, that's not my biggest fear. My biggest fear is mentality.
Okay,
I worry a lot about how the Oilers play when they get a little bit down mentally, and how the highs when they are rolling and they are positive. And I guess it kind of rolls into goaltending because I think they take a lot of momentum off.
That's even one thing I had in my notes was confidence level within the two goaltenders too, and how that,
because when either Smith or Koskinen has a really good game, everybody's fine. They really feed off that. But when they're not, they kind of. I wish they were just when spirits were down, they were steady Eddie. But it's when spirits are up, they're unreal. When spirits get down, they're garbage. Like that Chicago game when I think they lost the first 2 games in that 5-game series. They won game 3, and then they came out, and early in the 4th game, they got down, and they gave up completely. It was some of the saddest hockey I've ever seen. I was like, shit, I don't want to see that. And then last year, that series was over after 2 games. That's
tough though, because 3 of those 4 games were in OT. That's one thing
you're
that everybody forgets.
You're right.
3 of those 4 games were in OT.
And I think that was just me still being traumatized from the year before, where when we lost those 2 fucking first OT games, I was pretty bummed. And I kind of figured, and I was just like, there's no way. But I still think my point stands, is I think we've seen it all year long of they are going to have to be mentally strong to get through, because the playoffs throws crazy shit at you. I'm worried that they're going to get to a point where McDavid's getting fucking absolutely, let's try and find an appropriate word to say this, like
mauled.
Yeah, he's getting absolutely mauled. People are hanging off him. They're ripping his stick out of his hands. Nothing's getting called, right? Guys are taking liberties on us, and we're going to have to play through it. And we're going to have to just suck it up. This is what we got to do. And I hope they can do that. I think they can. I have faith. I mean, I
think it's been like that for the last couple weeks to a month. I think they're, if you watch,
and they've been playing through it,
and you can hear you could hear it on the broadcast too. The refs are, it's playoff hockey. The refs are starting to manage the game like a playoffs, like it is.
But at least the last couple of weeks, it seems like it's kind of going both ways, where they're not calling much on the other team. But for the rest of the year, the Oilers have been playing playoff hockey to the refs all fucking year long. They haven't called shit.
Yeah, I think
right?
so.
And then when they did call shit, it's like the worst penalties ever. The little ticky-tack Bologna.
Yeah.
But I just think the refs fucking hate Edmonton. And I think they hate McDavid and Draisaitl.
You think they hate McDavid and Dry?
I really do.
Dry does get kicked out of a hell of a lot of faceoffs.
I think it started with the linesman, and I told you this. We might have even discussed this on the podcast. What I think it was, and this is, again, 100% conjecture and me fucking pulling crazy shit out of my ass, but when McDavid first came into the league, he never said a thing to a ref. He never looked at a ref. He never did anything to the refs. And I think it was a conscious thing. It was so far to that degree, like overboard on that side, that it was noticeable. Like, oh man, this guy, like every time, like the ref would be like, yeah, give me a little something. That was a terrible call. He would just look away. He would never look at the refs, but he would give it to linesmen on face-offs, on draws. Even when he was an 18-year-old, he would always give it to linesmen. And I think they fucking hated it and started to despise him. And I think that just went around, and eventually, and then when they did start chirping back at refs and stuff, it seems like still I think McDavid and Draisaitl get kicked out of more faceoffs than anybody in the league. If there's a stat on that, maybe someone can pull that out somewhere. It's heinous.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like they do not get, I don't think they're in the good books. It just seems like the judgment from 1,000 feet watching on my couch with my fucking bag of Cheetos. It feels like there's some bullshit going on. And I just worry going into the playoffs with that hot of a, because in the playoffs, you get the excuse of it, right? All years looked bad, but in the playoffs, that's just playoff. No, refs are just reffing it like they ref the playoffs, right? So I don't know. But that would be my biggest concern. I think I know that was a big old tangent, but I think it comes down to mentality. If we go out, the biggest thing would be my guess of what happened is not strong enough mentally. Something, whether it's reffing, whether it's, just a couple bounces not going the way, they've got to hold a couple bad goals, right? I think that's, and but that's the flip side of the big worry is if we do nail that in and they go in mentally strong, they can play through whatever comes at them. That's a scary fucking team.
Yeah.
So then flipping it back to you, what's your biggest question mark?
I took the cop-out answer. I think it's goaltending.
For sure.
I think, but that's where I think confidence level in the goaltending is going to come in.
That's
and I
paramount.
think where I look at who I'd rather have, who I think is playing hot at the moment. I think it's got to be going into playoffs.
And they both had really good games leading up.
Big time. But I think Mike Smith, he's trending in that direction where he's starting to get a bit of that swagger back. I think he's starting to play a little bit better. Got a shutout last night.
Yeah, huge.
And I think Mike Smith, his ability to play the puck, I think he can get out, take a lot of pressure off of the defense.
Especially in playoffs because
when the forecheck is coming at you like demons and you need to save Nurse from taking those 5 extra hits a game. And I think Smith adds that element of getting up to the forwards, getting quick breakouts. I think he's shaping up to he's getting that look in his eye again of when he
And again, knock on wood, I think that too. I've me, I've been very high on this all the time that Mike Smith has one of the highest ceilings in the NHL for a goalie. When he's on, I think he's right up there with some of the best. A little bit older, but I think at his peak when he was,
he's got such a high battle level,
huge battle level.
And if you talk about the mentality and having that winning mentality, not taking bad things too hard, I think Mike Smith, you can say sometimes he gets a little bit too angry.
He was yelling at a lot of D-men earlier in the year.
Yeah, I know, but I think that fire is good in the playoffs. I think
true. That's when it's appropriate.
Yeah,
right.
I think that fire adds a little bit in the playoffs. If you have a goalie screaming at you, if you have a goalie in the locker room getting juiced, I think if your goalie can be that fired up and mad and want to make a change in the game, that the players will.
Do you think they should
hopefully ride?
Think they should put an A on his jersey for the playoffs or what?
Give him a C. Robbie Lou.
Strip McDavid. No, we're going at Mike Smith's our leader.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you're right. To call it a cop-out answer, it's not a cop-out because I think that is the answer.
Yeah.
Right? I think what mine was just a personal concern of that's something that I see, but I think, and
could you see them maybe running both in the playoffs?
I almost guarantee it.
I think that's the biggest issue with both of them is
not one of them has
everybody says about Koskinen, he starts to get weaker the more he plays. He has come out and
said that's bullshit. There's nothing to that. I have no.
Yeah, but anyone would come out and say, I'm not.
Right.
But and I think maybe it is a non-issue. Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
But I could see them running maybe. If it goes 7 games, I could see probably a 5-2 split.
5-2 split
maybe,
for sure. That's exactly what I was going to throw.
And I think that's probably good for both of them because you never know.
Mike Smith's also 600 years old.
Yeah.
For a goalie.
And he's kind of made out of glass and starting to battle injuries.
He's got weak groins.
So I think I think running both in the playoffs is a good possibility. And especially you don't know when you're going to need one to step up and be the guy in the playoffs. And Smith could get hurt. One could have 2 really tough games in a row and then you start riding one. You never know. So I think to keep them both engaged, keep them both ready, I think that's going to be important.
And that's why I think seeing them both have really good games leading into the playoffs is really good for us for that reason, because I would be amazed if we go deep in the playoffs and Smith doesn't get hurt at some point, which is awful. And I think that's bad juju. I'm knocking on wood, but if I'm just being impartial with what we've seen this year I would be very surprised by it. I'm hoping, let's go. I hope he plays, every game and he's a mutant like he always is. And that's my hope, but I'd be surprised by it. And that's why I think rolling into it. And then that brings in, if he does get hurt, and Skinner's backing up Koskinen.
Ooh,
that's interesting.
I don't think Skinner sees.
Here's my question, and there's no way you can know this, so I guess it's more of a hypothetical.
You watch. You don't know what I know.
You don't know what I know. All right. So, just say some hypothetical. One of the goalies gets hurt, so we got to pull some up. You think they go Koskinen, or Koskinen? Do you think they go Skinner, the proven guy, or do you think they roll the dice, bring up what's his pickle?
Stolars?
No, that fucking
Stalock.
No. That young kid they just picked up out of college that was...
no, there's no fucking way. Come on. I told you I know that.
I just get excited over young goalies.
What if he's Skinner's a man for sure. What did you say he played this year? 12 games or
14
something?
or something?
Yeah. So he
played good. He played. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about him.
It's got to be Skinner, not some college kid.
I don't know. I'm more excited just to see what that college kid's got in him. Did he play in Bakersfield when he pulled up? Did they send him there for the rest of the year?
I'm not too sure, to be honest with you.
I think they did a professional, what do they call it? Like a professional tryout with Bakersfield or something.
Yeah.
But then why would you sign there and then you get a professional tryout? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
maybe I have that wrong.
Not a professional tryout. It's probably they signed him and because college is over now, so I bet he's just going to go be back up to Skinner, maybe play the odd game in Bakersfield. That's probably what's going to happen, yeah.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
I'm out of burning questions. I think
That's
I had
all
two.
of them, hey?
Yeah, I had some other notes, but none were really burning
All right,
questions.
all right. Okay, well then I got asked
My other one was the 11-7.
Oh, right.
team,
And we crossed that one already.
We touched on that one.
Okay, well, I got asked a question by someone yesterday, and I had no idea my answer. And I feel like I'm not in the best place to answer it, but I feel like it's a good question for you.
Why?
Because you are more of not a more diehard Oilers fan, but you stuck with it more through the darker times and have a much more rich Oilers history of like remembering. Where like I was so
Checked
and out,
out?
like, yeah, so checked out all the time. Like by half of the year, as soon as you got eliminated, I was just like, I fucking hate. I'm not putting on any game. I'm so mad that another year of this bullshit that I kind of almost don't even remember before McDavid. Right?
Yeah.
It's just I blocked it out of my brain.
BM.
So, who is your favorite Oilers coach all time?
Oh, fuck.
I know that's what I say. I was like, shit. I actually like, stopped in my tracks. I was like, I don't know.
I think that's a tough question because I don't know.
Every coach on the way out, you kind of get.
But also speaking for myself, I don't really ever like or dislike a coach. They're the fucking coach. Like,
interesting.
I will say, like, just add in history. Pat Quinn, man.
Pat Quinn. That's kind of where I was going.
I think Pat Quinn was.
That's right. I never even got to watch him play. Right? I don't think he did all that well here. I think he clashed with a lot of guys, but who didn't clash with that group we had in that? They clashed with every coach because I don't think they had great attitudes. They weren't. Sorry, not Pat Quinn. Who is back in like the Boys on the Bus days? Old boy there, their coach, Gretzky and them.
Oh man,
you know what?
Yeah.
This is embarrassing. I don't even want to Google that.
He was with the Glenn Sather.
Thank you,
Sather.
Right, like that's the other thing. I'm like, I didn't get to see him really play him. Like I got to see Pat Quinn, but again, that was those dark times.
I also think they ran through so many coaches that it was hard to get attached to any.
How many coaches Ryan Nugent Hopkins had? I think he's had like 9 coaches.
I bet you he's had more coaches than years he's played with the team. Damn near, like
damn near. Yeah, that's absurd.
Yeah, but yeah, I think
still plays like this. Like
why not?
Nuge just doesn't, I don't know. I think I went on this diatribe last game, but like, I just think Nuge. Oh, here's another thing to cover. I think we talked about maybe covering this was after our podcast last time, I had a couple different people reach out and send some advanced statistics for Puljujarvi.
Okay.
About how good he is off of the puck, like how well he plays. I think we did say that a little bit. Maybe we didn't give enough shine to it because of like the issues he has. But like, I think we both think Puljujarvi, other than those areas, like just his one-timer and those clutch moments when like it's in front of the net in the danger zone where he needs to make
big glaring misses.
Yeah, right. But other than that, he's an excellent player. Yeah. And I think you brought up something good too about Woodcroft. Do you remember what you said on that?
Yeah. I think with Puljujarvi, his advanced analytics and with Woodcroft seemingly giving him a lot more time up on that first line than Tippett ever did. I think Tippett, you could even go back to McClellan when Puljujarvi was young. They would really maybe give him a game or two. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, we haven't seen nothing from you. You haven't done anything noticeable. You've kind of made a couple glaring mistakes. You should have 2 or 3 goals. You have 0. Yeah. You're down on the 4th. You're third line now. And I think that was tough on Puljujarvi's confidence, especially when he was that young.
And he was fragile too.
And I think in today's day and age, every team seems to be going to analytics. Every team is diving deep in that as top, their GM with signings and trades is analytics. And I think with Woodcroft, what that tells me maybe is Woodcroft and his staff are a lot more analytic based than Tippett was. I think Tippett, it was kind of that old school coach where
when Puljujarvi was scoring lots, he was staying on that line. But when he got
Tippett
cold,
sees from behind the benches runs all. That's what he sees is master. There, no analytics. If I see Puljujarvi not performing, you can tell me what good his possession numbers are. Yeah, didn't really seem to matter. But I think it's a good sign to see now when Woodcroft, Puljujarvi, I don't know the exact, but it doesn't seem like maybe he's had a goal or 2 in the last month.
Yeah, I think he had 1 goal.
But he's been on McDavid's line every game. Yeah. And I think
playing well. That's what we're saying. Like
and I think Woodcroft probably meets with his guys, meets with his analytic boys, and he says, okay, Puljujarvi has 1 goal in 12 games, but what are his underlying numbers? What is the possession when he's on the ice? How many pucks has he turned over? How many pucks has he created a dangerous chance off of a Puljujarvi turnover? Has got on McDavid's stick and has created something that way. So I think Woodcroft seems to dive deeper into that, and that makes,
could be. Yeah, we don't know that, but it seems like that.
And that he gives Puljujarvi a lot more leeway because he can see that Puljujarvi does a lot more than just.
Okay, here's a question that just occurred to me. Do you think? How do I ask this as a question? Okay, so I wonder how much input McDavid gets on like his line mates under Tippett and under Woodcroft. And I wonder how much of that was maybe with Tippett or with Woodcroft. Either way, I don't know. Maybe it's McDavid who has way more pull with one of them. And maybe with Tippett, it's every time he got cold, McDavid's like, get this fucking guy off my line. And Tippett's like, okay, sir. And then maybe, or maybe it's the other way. And maybe Tippett was like, oh no, he's off your line or whatever. And McDavid's like, no, he's sick. I like playing with him. He gets me pucks. He's great on the wall, right? And maybe Tippett or Woodcroft who listens more to that. Could be any of that. I love when he just walks through all the cables and just weasels away, doesn't hook any of them, and just walks through. Yeah, that's it. That's an interesting thing to look at too. So that's all the Chase questions.
We're going to get into the fan question, the fan question of the week.
Yeah, I have the Archibald thing too, but I think we go into the fan question because I've already been cooking for almost an hour.
Yeah. So, I say let's. Jesus.
Oh boy, don't hook that. Come on, walk through. Come see me. Lift your leg. Good boy. So yeah, we had a bunch of really good fan submissions, like we said. A lot of them we think are just more tiered to maybe a different week or a little bit closer playoffs or maybe off season. But the one submission we had that was really fucking good was our favorite vintage Oiler.
Yeah, and some of your memories surrounding that.
Yeah, we just kind of was thinking like, if we're gonna throw it back, let's go all the way back. And I mean, we'll have to post some pictures for this episode. But Chase came in hot with the memorabilia.
I came
today.
Locked and loaded. That question,
loaded.
That question rang a lot of bells for me. Yeah. I think. Do you want to go first, or do you want?
No, I want you to go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, I got to do a little bit of Googling about a certain ex-Oiler that I didn't prepare for, but you probably know who I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, I think as soon as I saw that question, my mind immediately jumped. Probably a lot of people wouldn't think of this Oiler right away, but for some reason he was with the team around the 2000 kind of right about when they had all those battles with Dallas. Unfortunately, he never really made it out of the first round.
Yeah.
But it was the goalie, Tommy Salo. For some reason, and I was born in 95. He was kicking around 2000. So I was 5 or 6 years old. Yeah. So really, when you like a player that, when you're that young, I don't really know why. I don't really have any specific memories about him. I think I really liked his goalie mask.
Yeah.
I just loved Tommy Salo, man. I think, and he was a very steady goalie. Yeah. And so I kind of dove down the rabbit hole of Tommy Salo stats, and I looked, why did I like this guy so much? I loved Tommy Salo. And here's some stats that might blow your mind about Tommy Salo, because when you think of past Oilers goalies, the greatest Oilers goalies, like
Grant Fuhr,
Bill Ranford, and really there's not much.
There's not Cujo for a bit, didn't we?
Yeah,
when we were real young.
Yeah, so we've had some big names, but none that have Nikolai Habibulin, the year Dwayne Rollison had.
Yeah,
but I looked up. Tommy Salo is a franchise leader in shutouts.
Whoa,
he had 23 shutouts.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Grant Fuhr only had 8 or 9, so I think he played a different
era.
So Tommy Salo is a franchise leader in shutouts. He has 23. He's third in games played. Goalies, 334.
Who's the most games played for Oilers?
Grant Fuhr.
Yeah.
Grant Fuhr, Ranford.
Yeah.
And then he's third in wins behind those same two. He has 147 wins. He was a 2-time All-Star. And I always thought Tommy Salo was a stud.
And that's funny because I kind of forgot about this, but when you brought that up, guess who my favorite Oiler was back in those days? Tommy fucking Salo. I love Tommy Salo. I had pictures on the fridge. I had bobbleheads. I love Tommy Salo. I didn't have the replica mask like you.
The old what's it, McFarlane third jersey Salo. I was decked out to the nines in Salo stuff, and I wasn't even a goalie, and I had pads, and I would deck myself up in pads and put my Salo mask on, and my grandpa would shoot on me, and I was fucking Tommy Salo. Like, it was just so weird, and like Ryan Smith was there at that time. They had a bunch of
so Tommy Salo was my favorite player on the Oilers until a certain someone that people probably don't even remember that much as an Oiler, but for some reason he had 1 year where I think he might have led the Oilers in scoring for 1 year, and then he was my favorite player until we traded him.
Who's that?
Can you remember?
Okay, local guy. Give me that breakdown again.
Okay, he was around the same time, probably just after Salo, I would say, because I just remember him like being my next favorite player. He was I'm going to say like over his career, he really peaked that 1 year with the Oilers. Local from Alberta, I think from Edmonton. His brother plays in the NHL now, is a goalie. Played for Winnipeg. Mike Comrie. I loved Mike Comrie, man. When he came in and had that year, I don't know what it was, but I was just all for him, man. Like I think, and I might be making that up that he led the team that year. I remember he just had one like sick year, and I was all in for him. I kind of liked him before that, but then it was like, this is. No, I've been telling you guys, like this guy is the truth.
He pulled Hillary Duff too, so you can never go wrong.
That's probably what really had me firing. Oh, that was close. Yeah, Remy likes to walk through the cables. So then. Back to Tommy Sal. So I just had to get that little in because that made me think of old Mikey Com. So Tommy,
what about
great Oiler?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I think I kind of touched. Like I said, I was so young that I wish I had more stories about him. I wish, but all I know is that I love the guy, and I had his, like I said, a replica mask. I would be Tommy Salo.
So that's probably your favorite.
And honestly, that's probably. Right about 5, 6, 7 years of age is when you probably start to develop your core memories of what team you like.
Right.
So I'll give Tommy Salo credit right now of making me the Oilers fan I am today. Like he dragged me in.
Okay, so going back to kind of my Tommy Salo, but I think I would be a little bit older than that, so it wouldn't be maybe the core memory. That might have been more like the Ryan Smiths and stuff, where like the real core, and like the Tommy Salos, like you say. But my favorite, who I'm going to say, number 47, Marc-Andre Bergeron. I fucking love this guy. He was how tall is fucking Bergie? He was
probably 4'7". That's why his number.
He's listed as 5'9", but in the NHL, they always, if you're under 6'2", they usually give you an inch or two. So maybe 5'8" out there. But he would hit and throw hip checks, and I could fire a puck harder than 95% of D-man. Was just the exact type of D-man that like my dad loved, right? Like he loved guys that hit, and and he loved a good hip check. So like I loved a good hip check, and like when we would watch,
Ingle probably still rocks hip checks in the Slave League.
Oh man, in the Old Timers League, if there was loud hitting,
broken hip checks,
broken hip checks. Oh, that's funny. But I think that's what it was. Is just like he was the type of player my dad liked, right? And you always kind of follow that shit. Kind of what is cool to him is what's cool to you, right? So that's always why I loved hitting. Like I loved guys that would hit. And that game where he mucked, I think it was Marty Turco in the face with a blast from the point so hard right in the mask, where it was almost like a comic routine. Maybe we can find a little gif of it and we'll put it with the pod. He literally domes him right in the face. He like takes a second and then falls backward like a comic
slow motion.
Like slow motion. Just absolutely rocks this guy and was just like my favorite player. I loved him. So then going into that 06 run.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up where Marc-Andre Bergeron lost me.
No, it's not just you. He lost every Oilers fan forever and almost lost his career. Like that probably really hurt his whole career going into that was, I'm sure every Oilers fan remembers exactly where we're about to go with this is, final round. Okay, we're just going to pause it real quick and then I'll talk about what happened with little Bergie. Okay, quick 20-minute dog run around the backyard break. Yeah. Grabbed a football, chucked it a couple times. He really thought he was going to get it the whole time, hey?
He did.
Yeah. Got lots of running in.
Just like every DB who played against me in high school.
I thought I was going to get it every time. That's so funny. You never even fucking played football. But if I did. RF Staples champion. So back to Marc-Andre Bergeron, the GOAT. Yeah, it was a tough look.
The GOAT what, though? Hip checker? Like, what else did he do good?
Face mask breaker? I don't know.
Leg breaker?
I just loved the way he played. He was always exciting. I really liked how he played. Up until...
Did you try and model your game after Marc-Andre?
I really did. Yeah, exactly.
You're probably as big as him in grade 8.
Probably like grade 6. I was a big kid. I could never hip check. I always wanted to.
On the ODR.
Yeah. I could never learn to hip check, so I just started fucking crushing dudes normal ways. Just fucking step up on them.
Crushing dudes.
Which he hit. He didn't just hip check. He threw big hits all the time. That's 5'8" little wrecking ball out there.
Right? I think you have a very formulated favorite player.
Yeah.
It's a very small guy that hits. I think because I'm not necessarily Yamamoto,
like anybody that
Archibald.
Hits. Yeah. I don't know why. It's just little guys, but it seems like the only guys the Oilers bring in that hit are little guys.
Yeah.
But I just love guys that hit because that's what my dad liked, right? Like he likes a goal just as much. He likes a nice assist just as much as anything, but what he loved was big hits. So as a kid, I always saw it. So, and I love big hits. Mm-hmm. So when I started playing, I didn't score many goals. I didn't get many assists. I wasn't all that great of a player, but I definitely laid some fucking nice hits in my career.
And I guess where I'm maybe the counter to that is my grandpa liked the opposite. Skill? He liked Jumbo Joe has been his favorite because he's gentlemanly. He carries himself well.
Yeah.
He's not really in the scrums. You don't see him. He's not flashy.
Yeah.
He just is a great passer. Thinks the game very well.
Really high IQ.
He liked those Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, like
Patrick Forsberg.
Patrick Forsberg, Peter's brother. He only played in Sweden.
But you wouldn't know him.
No, he's only the true Forsberg fans would know Patrick Forsberg.
Patrick Forsberg. So then, so he was just always me and my dad's favorite Oiler. We love Bergie.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, before the incident we're about to talk about, where every Oiler fan in existence really started hating Marc-Andre Bergeron, I think he was a big part of that 06 run. I think he was a great little D-man that really helped bring the team together and bring it to the end. He was a real good glue guy. I'm pulling that out of nowhere just because I want it to be true, but
I think he played 10 minutes a night, man.
But those
Chris
10 minutes
Pronger was out there
impactful.
35 minutes a night. Spacek was out there 28. That's
Yeah.
their left side.
Yeah.
I think Bergeron was really, and I'm not opposing you on this. I liked Bergeron too, but fuck, he just soured
game
my tongue.
one, game two of the finals against Carolina.
It was, I'm fairly certain it was game one.
I think it was game one. So game one, and again, we're telling this story. If people are listening to this podcast, I'm sure they know this, but just for posterity, I suppose. Game one of the miracle run in 06, we're in the finals for the first time since the Gretzky years, goddammit. And I don't know, second period maybe, coming down, Bergeron is angling off. I can't remember who on Carolina. Chill out, dude. This dog is a mutant. Angling him off, runs into Rolison, who is holding us in it.
Yeah.
Hurts his knee or whatever. Never had to put in. Who was our backup?
Ty Conklin. It was Ty Conklin and UC Markkinen were split. They were kind of splitting backup time.
But Ty Conklin's the one I remember.
Ty Conklin was the one who came in that game, made just an absolute glaring giveaway in front of the net, from behind the net. Game. I think it was the game-winning goal.
Yeah.
Or at least kind of the insurance or something. Came back and then Markkinen played the rest of the series and was okay.
Right. But Rolison was a huge piece of what got us there, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not as big a piece as Marc-Andre Bergeron was, but still a big piece, right?
Very big.
So at that point, now my favorite player is enemy number one. Everybody hates Marc-Andre Bergeron, and he's still my favorite player, right? I was pretty bummed too, but you could tell he's trying to play his man. He's competing out there. Shit happens, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just devastated because now forever, my fucking favorite player. And then he kind of petered off. I think after that, he was gone from the Oilers the next year. I think he went to the Islanders for a bit, maybe the Ducks, the Wild, and then he kind of fell off. And I thought I'd never hear of him again. But then, a couple years ago, it comes out, NHL's not sending players to the Olympics. And you start seeing these rosters come out. These prospective rosters of guys that are not in the NHL anymore, but are still playing hockey somewhere. And guess whose name is on there? Marc-Andre Bergeron.
Did he play in the Olympics?
He didn't end up making it, but I saw him on one of those projected rosters and lost my shit, screenshot it, sent it to my dad. I was like, oh my God, can you imagine? If this actually happens, we have to fly to Sochi or wherever.
Yeah.
Where was the Olympics that year? Or the first year that...
Who knows? I never watched them.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, they suck.
Yeah.
Here's another thing we should talk about. So those are kind of our two top picks. Tommy Salo, Marc-Andre Bergeron are kind of our two top picks for our
favorite retro Oilers.
But there's so many more that we'd really like to talk about that we think probably for the next couple of weeks we might make this a recurring.
Probably until playoffs. So maybe another week or two. We'll do a couple more.
Yeah, and we'll get a couple more guys highlighted.
Because I have a few in mind.
For sure. I have a couple in mind too. And probably we'll have a lot of rollover, just like Salo was a rollover for both of us. But but here's one. Shit, I just had a really good thing.
You're talking about the Olympics?
Oh, yes. So now, Rollins, what do you think of World Cup?
Oh, I think I think that would be awesome.
Okay,
I think you need to kind of get away from the Olympics. They've
the
burned
Olympics
their
are
bridge.
corrupt. They're bullshit. They're garbage. And that
one
World Cup they put
thing
on
that's very probably trivial to most people, but that I hate about the Olympics is that they don't give any video or pictures or nothing to the NHL to use.
It's bullshit
in any sort of promo or anything. And there's. Yeah, and that's just
not
selfish.
only does the Olympics not do that. The Olympics, they're supposed to be the core tenet of the Olympics, and I'm stealing a lot of this. If you want to hear the actual well formulated thing, Lex Friedman has a bunch of Olympians on his podcast. He had a judo guy on. He's had a wrestler. He's had a bunch of guys. They really go into this because it's a big bone of contention with him in the Olympics. They don't put out any film of it. The Olympics.
Once it happens, it's done.
It's done. And the whole like ethos of the Olympics is supposed to be to broadcast the highest level of sport to the world and make it available and try and grow. And they fucking hoard it all. Yeah. Bullshit. Fuck the Olympics. They're garbage. I've hated them for years. They're corrupt as shit. Anyway. But
just like fucking Google.
I hate them too. Yeah. Amazon, I hate all the fuckers. Let's go Elon. But again, the last World Cup they put on was probably the best international hockey, was most exciting. It was awesome. That was that year where they had that Team North America and
Team Europe.
And Team Europe. And this is the thing.
They're going to go away from that.
They're going away from that. Yeah. That's what I want to ask you about, right? I'm so excited. It sounds like they're doing exactly what we're talking about, is just making the World Cup. That's going to be the new Olympics. Olympics isn't even a word in hockey anymore. Nobody cares, right? We're going to the World Cup.
I think if you could draw a parallel, if you look at soccer.
Exactly.
I think Olympic soccer with the men anyway is like the Olympics, I think, is used for their kind of young up and comers. Not a lot. Some of the big names go to the Olympic soccer, but the World Cup is like everything. The mecca. It is the
everything to everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out Canada just made the World
Hell
Cup
yeah,
this year.
Let's go.
Like,
let's go.
I'll be tuning in.
Alfonso Davies, local Edmonton kid. He's looks like he's gonna be back playing soon. They say.
Yeah, he'll be back for the World Cup
for sure. But I'm just saying, like, nice to see him. Get back on the field, just in general as a nice local. Yeah, I know you got a nice ball. Yeah, that's a very nice ball. Go get it. That was almost a laptop everywhere. Oh my goodness, this dog. So here's what I want to ask about was, I know, that's a good ball. Going away from that Team North America, Team Europe, I get why they're doing it. It's hard to make this thing that's supposed to be like very professional.
Do you know the only reason that Team North America worked out?
Because
McDavid Matthews.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the only reason.
But I think but I think they just, the reasoning behind why it happened may not have been
I'd vote just Team McDavid Matthews. Make them a team.
Here's okay. So here's my pitch. Because it worked out so well, I think they should still do a Team North America and a Team Europe. But you change a couple things. It can't be like they did where like McDavid couldn't play for Canada, right? Even though he was good enough to play on that team, he was under that age group. You get rid of that rule and you make it so that they have to do a play-in. So like you just enter the Team North America and that Team Europe team in, but they have to play in with the Germanys and the kind of the bubble teams. So you still have them within the tournament.
So then if you play in Team Germany, who's on Team Europe?
But there's a bunch of teams like that. You have to draw the line somewhere, right? There's going to be, no matter where you draw the line of what
Team Eastern Europe. Like, I don't get it.
But here's the thing: you have to draw the line at countries. There's going to be some countries that get in, some that don't. So there's going to be some pool of countries that you're going to put in there, and they're going to get mollywopped anyway. But they're going to be just as good as fucking Team Japan is in the Olympics. Like, it's not that big a deal. Oh, you are going to pull that thing off, you little mutt. I can see it. He'll be fine. I don't know. I feel like there's a way to do it, and it was sick. I think there's just a couple tweaks, and you can maybe keep it. I just think it's difficult to try to make it professional and like serious, and people to take it serious with those.
I like Team Europe because some of those countries are so non-competitive. If you were to just make a Team Germany, then what? Draisaitl
tries to carry.
Draisaitl is irrelevant. He's kind of he won't have a team. Yeah. He won't have anyone around him Moritz Seider will be on that team. They'll have Grubauer. Like they might compete, but they're going to be out after round robin. And so then you waste a guy like Draisaitl. But I think Team North America, that was Team McDavid Matthews. It really was.
But it was still sick. Like
it was sick. I agree. But I think you make those Team Canada, Team USA, Team Russia all so much better if you take those young guns and put them on those teams. The young guns that are deserving of making their national team,
But you would anyway, is what I'm saying. You take out that rule where they have to play for that young gun team. So
then the young gun team is just,
it's not, you don't put an age group on it. You don't have to be young, you don't have to be old. It's just, if you can't make a team, you can go play for those teams. So it's going to still be young guys, but it won't be like McDavid young. It'll be like, who would be like, it'd be like Brady Tkachuk, who's not going to make Team Canada, but he could still play. And you're going to make a team of, it's not going to be as good.
Well, then why don't you just make 2 Team Canadas? Like, I think then.
Yeah, I guess maybe. I don't know. I feel like there's a way that it can be done that you can still get it and it's still going to be sick.
I think it was, I still think it was totally sick because it was Team McDavid Matthews. Holy fuck, this Canadian and this American. They're probably the 2 hottest talents to come in since Crosby and Ovechkin. Like imagine if when Crosby and Ovechkin were 22,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they had some event where they were on the same team.
Yeah, that
like
would've
the
been
shit hype that would have been around that. That's, I think, this. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of talent on that team.
Right.
But I think that was the main draw of that Team North America.
For sure it was. For sure it was.
Too. And
100%.
But I like Team Europe. I think.
Okay, so then you just drop Team North America because that's more what I'm saying. Like I think you could do North America.
I think you drop
more
the
saying
young
for Team
guys.
Europe because I want to see Draisaitl play.
Yeah.
So Draisaitl just doesn't get to play. Like
Yeah.
he's one of the best guys.
I think you go Team Europe, Team Asia, Team like
for sure. And they probably will get mucked out in the round robin anyway.
sure.
So it doesn't matter. That's my point. Is it's not going to bust up the integrity. The North America might because now you have a Team North America that like you take all the best of the guys that can't make Canada and America. Right? It's this. Oh, you would have to still put an age gap on it, so you'd have to have it young guns. You're right, but yeah, I still think even the good under 24-year-old players would still be better than lots of like the Team Germanys and stuff.
For sure,
but whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm just excited that we're gonna have some sort of international hockey where the best can play against the best, and Canada can show that they're still the GOAT.
Dominatrix,
exactly. Dominatrix.
And one thing I really I feel like we've been robbed the last couple of Olympics. I want to see Crosby McDavid on the same team.
Me too.
I think that is
100%.
I think that would be the peak of Canadian hockey right now is McDavid and Crosby on the same team
for sure.
And then you add in like guys like McKinnon and Makar and Marner or whatever you wanted. Maybe Marner,
absolute units.
And I think Marner.
And I think as much as it kills me to say it, I think we're going to see an American team like we've never seen an American team now.
Why? Matthews?
Not just Matthews, but what Matthews represents is what America's done to throw that team, that U.S. development team. Like that's why Canada's getting completely left in the fucking dust. It's only because of the fact that hockey is such everything to Canada. But like on paper, the leaps that America's making is all because of the development team because they throw money towards it. Where Canada just doesn't give a fuck. Canada doesn't care about their athletes. They don't give a shit. Yeah. They just like to celebrate when they win cups. Like, oh, that's sick. You want some money? No, fuck you. Go on your own. Right? Like it's bullshit. I hate that. But I think because of that, we're going to see all these guys like, like the Eichels, the Canes, right? Like the Kane was like the start of it. We're going to see these guys come out and be sick through this development group. But now there's all these guys coming up. The Zegras, the is Troy Terry American?
I think he's Canadian.
Yeah, I think he might be Canadian. But you get my point. I think we're starting to see the fruits of that. And I think we're going to see for the next couple. And I think the getting robbed of the Olympics has kind of missed a couple years, so like we would have seen a progression, but now we've missed a couple, and we're going to just see this huge influx.
And I think
where did these guys come from?
You're going to see that influx, and I think you're going to see the players I think they're not going to take it for granted. And I'm not saying players took the Olympics for granted, but I think
you lose a couple years,
and now all these guys like McDavid, who's never played in the Olympics, never been at the peak of that international hockey. Yeah, they're going to put on that American or Canadian or Russian jersey. Yeah, and they're just going to bump up their level a little bit because they're going to be so stoked to be there. They're going to, I think it's a great idea. It's going to be awesome.
And they're going to do it during the summer, apparently.
Yes.
Which is also great. So you don't have to, cut your season in the middle and send guys risk injuries mid-season and stuff. I think it just, in so many ways, it's awesome. I'm really excited about it. That was good little chat. I think we saved we've been cooking for a bit. I think we'll save the Archie talk for maybe the next one.
Jump into next week's preview. Perhaps?
Yeah. That's exactly where I was going. Exactly.
I think first we got to talk about the game tomorrow.
That's a big
afternooner down at Rogers. You have
an afternoon game.
Yeah, 2 p.m. start for all you fogies like us who are going out tonight. Make sure to set the alarms for 1:50. Right. Get up and watch that game. Golden Knights running in hot after a big win in Calgary.
Big win.
Actually dusted Calgary.
They got Pacioretty back now. I think last week when we did the pod, he was not back.
And I think LA aside, I think this is probably the game. If Vegas wants a sniff at catching Edmonton in the standings, they need to win this game. And I think Edmonton on the other end of things, I think they're going to go into tomorrow's game knowing if we win this game, that's probably the cushion we need. Like we said, the magic number is going to go down to 6 with 6 games left. That's doable. That's more than doable. I think that's 99% if they win tomorrow. So I think it's going to be a big matchup. Like I said,
and for sure, and Oilers has that extra motivation too of trying to bump Vegas completely out of the playoffs too, because they'd much rather keep LA in there, right? Yeah. Like that to keep them at bay and kind of keep them on the outside looking in. Yeah, there's so much motivation from both teams on both sides. This game is, probably the most important game of the year. You could almost say.
Yeah, it's up there.
It's up there for sure.
Up there. Mike Smith getting the start.
Ooh.
So
He played good. Yeah. I mean, obviously he's
Ride
going off
the
for
guy
shutout.
off
Ride
the
the
shutty,
guy. Ride the guy.
Yeah.
Ooh, something we didn't talk about was he looked like he tweaked something in the Minnesota game.
When does that
maybe?
guy not tweak something
know,
though?
I
Nah, he
know,
never played
I
against
know.
Minnesota though.
Oh, okay, then it was the game before. It would have been
Colorado, he never played. LA, he played against.
right. But we would have already talked about that. There was one game where but he always does the big show too, and he tweaks something, right?
I think so.
You see it.
He wants to make sure everybody
in the barn
sees
knows
him.
Yeah, it sees him competing.
Yeah.
Sees him battling.
Oh, that one hurt, but I'm going to keep going. Love him.
And that's what it was. So Koskinen gets up, puts all his shit on because it looks okay. I'm coming in, and then when he eventually, no, I'm staying in.
Okay, I remember that. That was in the
Right.
San Jose game because Koskinen wasn't on the bench with the rest.
You're right.
And
You're
that's
right. Exactly.
So Koskinen was sitting over. God, how stupid is that? You can't make a bench big enough to
know.
fit a spare goalie.
Yeah,
Like
California, man.
take out
taxes are too
take out
much.
one seat there.
Exactly.
And extend the bench. It's a easy off-season switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I wonder.
Koskinen.
So here's another thing, getting off our week preview. But I wonder if there's some sort of statistics, some sort of statistic.
Numbers.
There's some numbers to show the performance of backup goalies coming in San Jose versus the rest of the league, where you don't get to sit on the bench. If you're just sitting over in the fan section for the whole game, you have to come in like that. I wonder if there's poor performance. It'd be like pretty negligible. It probably wouldn't ever show, but I would wonder. Or I guess it wouldn't even be statistics. You'd have to talk to goalies in the league and find out. So maybe when we start getting some goalies from the NHL on the podcast, we ask them, you ever gone in reserve out of San Jose?
How'd you play?
Did you feel any different? Oh my God, that was a stupid tangent. Oh well, that's what we're here for, really.
Hey, yeah.
So biggest game of the season, maybe.
I would say so.
Saturday. Wednesday against Dallas, another big game, another wild card kind of battling team there. They're going to come with motivation. 2 big games in a row. That's a 6:30 start.
That's one we're sending one of you fellows to.
Oh, that's the game. Yeah, you can win tickets to that.
420.
420. Get a little fun on for the.
I got it for the rest of it.
Chase just pulled his mic thing out of his desk and is holding it like a prayer. Oh, that is fucking funny.
Okay, let's go.
You're just going to hold it the whole game?
I don't know how to get it back in there.
Just stick it in the hole. You should know how to do that. You're an adult.
Ooh.
Oh, a little spice for the end of the pod. Yeah, so big game against Dallas, and then the next game is next Friday. So what are we going to record
We could do before the game.
right before the game,
Yeah.
before game time? Leave it. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. I kind of like that. A little spice. So then we got and another.
that's
huge
another
game.
Avalanche
That's another
matchup, so-
Avalanche game.
Yeah.
And last 2 games have gone to overtime. We've played really good against them. So
We'll
this is a huge
be
week.
going to that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
We'll be going. We'll be
Okay.
there.
All right. Okay. This is a big week. So
Section
that's-
110, row 22. If you want to come say hi, we'll be right on the aisle there.
Yeah, we'll be the ones coming out of our seats, screaming at refs, getting the whole crowd
Maybe even
fired up.
coming in our seats too. Who knows?
You're an idiot. Maybe they play good. If McDavid drops a couple,
knows? Who knows?
If McDavid does something crazy like he's done against New York. Holy man!
Yeah.
So that's the week preview coming up. So then probably just do a little bit of we're probably going to end all these with just.
I think
kind of
magic number is down to 0 by the end of next
by
week.
the end of the next week.
I think
you think it's law.
I think they're clinched.
All
I
right.
think they beat Vegas tomorrow. I think they win all 3 at home here.
All 3 at home.
I think they
You
win
know
all
what?
3 at home.
I'm in with you.
I think they win all 3 at home.
Magic number.
Magic number.
It would be
But
at 2.
if Vegas loses,
Oh, you're right. Okay, no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Magic number is.
I
gonna
think
be-
we're talking to you pretty people next week. They're clinched.
They're clinched?
We're in the
All right.
playoffs.
All right.
We can start talking
Plan
about
the parade.
playoff preview.
Planning the parade.
Yeah, tickets go on sale for the parade speeches at Ingo's
Yeah.
next Friday.
Yeah. So then
We'll have a keg.
We'll have a keg. You heard it here first. Chase is getting a keg. Everybody be here bright and early. So then that's probably all the hockey talk. If you don't want to hear anything about fights, but we'll probably most every other week talk a little bit about what's happening in the UFC too, just because we're a bit mutants about that stuff too. But if you we're here for the hockey, you can turn it off right now. It's all good. But yeah, the card coming up this weekend tomorrow is kind of poo. The main event's good. Other than that, there's some sleepers on it. I should pull it up.
Which says a lot to me because for Nick to say that a UFC card
I never
is
say
poo,
that.
that's geez.
Yeah, no,
it
I know.
must be bad.
It's bad. Yeah.
I do like Vicente Luque. I think
Vicente Luque, Bilal
awesome.
Muhammad is a great fight.
Bilal, I don't really like
good main
Bilal lazy eye.
You don't like him,
Muhammad.
hey? He's a
No.
real good dude. Yeah, he's not flashy or nothing, but actually the best card of the weekend is happening right now as we're talking. The Bellator card is unbelievable tonight.
Who's on it? If I know one of the fighters, I'll shotgun a beer.
Okay, I don't think you will. Do you know Patricky Pitbull?
No.
AJ McKee, who's the best?
I've heard of AJ McKee.
Yeah, he's when you've asked me before who's the best guy out of the UFC that like if you bring someone over, and I said AJ McKee. I think him and Volkanovski. I still give I think Volkanovski's pound for pound one of the best fighters in it, but I think that would be a war.
Do you think if you see
a scrap?
Do you think Volkanovski? I think Volkanovski, sadly, because my favorite fighter is Max Holloway. I just think Max Holloway didn't fight him this go around. I think Volkanovski is just getting better and better. And I think Holloway probably should have got one of those first two decisions.
Yeah,
I think so.
It's close. I think,
but now I think Volkanovski's just getting too good.
Yeah.
I think now you take him on again, you're probably risking another loss. That's sad.
I would say definitely that, but then there's also another. It's almost the same point, but different. Is Max Holloway has been through another couple wars since then. And I think that was the only reason. I think skill wise, I think Holloway and Volkanovski in both those fights were almost exactly in what put Volkanovski over him is he just had a little bit more tread on the tires left. And Volkanovski has seen some, or Holloway has seen some shit. And then he had that crazy war against Cater and who else did he fight? He had Yair. Two absolute slobber knocker 5-round fights. And that
Cater,
was my biggest.
He kind of beat
the shit up, but
Yair was a fucking wild fight.
Yeah, that was a crazy fight, right? Yeah. And I still think yes, I do think what you said about Volkanovski getting a little bit better, and I think it would not look, those first two fights are going to be the best look of that matchup that you have. I think even more than that is going to be the miles on. And you never know that. You can never say on somebody else like what is affecting him. But from what I've seen of this sport, you cannot go through a fight like that Yair fight and be the same fight after, right? I think you see that with all these different kinds of, I think Dan Hooker, another guy on that city kickboxing team, after that fight with Poirier, hasn't been the same, right? Which is an amazing fight. And as a fan, you get so much out of those fights and they're awesome and they grow the sport. But you have to remember that those guys are never the same after something like that. So yeah, going into last weekend, I probably should have had this pulled up. Oh, I do have it pulled up. Look at me go. So yeah, I had that Volkanovski Chan Sung Jung fight. Wasn't even close. Volkanovski going into that fourth round was saying to Zombie, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Right? And I got to say, amazing stoppage by Herb Dean. That was perfect. Brought the doctor in, tried to get the doctor to stop it, realized the corner wasn't going to stop it. He goes into that fight. You eat a couple more clean ones. I'm stopping this mid-round. That's what he did. Standing TKO. He just stepped in, protected the fighter. That's what we need. Golf clap to Herb Dean. That was amazing. Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan. I think on the last fight breakdown we did, we called a few things. You're right on that. And then what did I say about those big three favorites, Piotr Yan, Volkanovski, and Khamzat? I said the biggest live dog out of that is Aljamain Sterling, right? People forget how fucking good Aljamain was.
Do you like that decision? Do you think that was the right decision? Because there's been a lot of people, and I think it's more so people just don't like Aljo that are coming out and really taking the stance of, Peter won that fight. That was a bad decision, blah, blah, blah.
So round 2, 3, and 4, very clear. Very, very clear. Aljo had 2 and 3. Jan had 4 for sure. 1 and 5 were a bit of a toss-up. I'd say 1 was the closest, 5 was second closest. And I think, in my opinion, I think Aljo squeaked 1, and I think Jan squeaked 5. So I think Aljo had 1, 2, 3, Jan had 4, 5. Right? Yeah. And you can go back. And then the other thing too is there's a huge debate all week now on 10-8 rounds because they made this huge deal about they changed the ruling on 10-8 rounds because they wanted to get more of them, right? When it's complete dominance, complete one way. Yeah. And then they've kind of backed it off and they haven't been giving out because there wasn't enough damage. But that round, I think it was 2, where he had his back the whole time, had him flattened out at the one point. Like that could have been
2
a
and
finish.
3 were, both. 3 probably not as
three was the control. He had his back the whole time, but he didn't do as much ground and pound, didn't go for as many submissions. So I'd say that's a clear 10-9 round. I think round 2 could have been a 10-8, right? And I actually heard somebody throwing the case out for either a 10-10 round in round 1 or round 5. I think more so they were talking round 1. And I could see that too, right? So that could have been a tie. But then also, I wouldn't say that was out of the realm of possibility for round 2 to be a 10-8. But there's another kind of common thing that I heard this week that I thought was really smart. They said, if you ever have to kind of, if you're second guessing if it was a 10-8 round or not, it's not a 10-8 round, which I can kind of see that, but I thought they changed the rule. But I thought they were changing the rule to get away from that because 10-8 rounds were handed out like they're goddamn Nobel Prizes. They would never give them out, right? And they're kind of changed the rule to try and give it. But yeah, no, I thought either way, I totally see people. Again, I think it's a lot of what you said about people just not liking Aljo, but it's not a robbery either which way, right? Yeah. Piotr Yan wins that fight. Not that I can see that too, right? But I think Aljo won that fight, and I think he's with all the shit he had on his head and all the and also your favorite thing, you got to beat the champ, right?
Yeah, but they were both champs.
True. Yeah, I guess technically, yeah. Interim, and then
do you think another fight? Do you think 3 or no?
I think
Dion has to win a couple first now.
It's such a deep division that I think you have to keep it rolling. There's TJ Dillashaw, there's Jose Aldo, there's Marab coming up, which would get into some weird shit with Aljamain Sterling, right? There's killer after killer. I think 135 might be the deepest division in UFC right now, right? So I think you kind of have to keep going. I think it really jams things up to have another third fight with him. Yeah, it'd make money. There's some there. I think Aljo.
Where's Sandhagen at right now?
He's right in there.
Is he lined up to fight someone now?
He's not. I don't think he's lined up to fight anyone. I might be wrong on that. So the big fight coming up right now is Rob Font and who is Rob Font fighting? He's fighting somebody. Oh, and Chito Vera. That's kind of the next big 135-pound fight that's coming up. And then Sugar. He's probably fighting on it. He still hasn't said anything on when his next fight is, but like I said, that division is just killers all the way 1 through 15. So I think they kind of got to keep it rolling. Then it comes down to the Khamzat Chimaev Gilbert Burns fight, which was fight of the year for my money. Fight of the year so far. Yeah. Unbelievable. Back and forth, right? And that's what we're saying on the pod.
Was Chandler Gaethje this year technically, or was that last year? Fuck. Yeah, because Chandler Gaethje was
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Let's just say and people are throwing it out as one of the best 3-round fights ever.
Here's a hot take in my opinion.
Sock it to me.
Is I love the 3-round fights a lot more. And I understand for a title, 5-round fight. But imagine, maybe it wouldn't have been any different because Khamzat is such an absolute psycho. Yeah. But imagine if this was and they probably wouldn't have done it on a fight night because it's a big draw. They want pay-per-view numbers, pay-per-view points like we talked about last episode. But do you think if that is a 5-round main event on a UFC Vegas, I like these 3-round fights because guys like Khamzat and guys like Gilbert, they can come out and go balls to the nuts right on the first round. Like they absolutely come out swinging because they know I don't
have to do this for 25 minutes.
Yeah, I have 15 minutes. I got 3 rounds. Maybe the third round I'm going to be gassed, but I know it's the last round.
Both of them were.
So I can
both gassed, right?
But they still just throw because they know this is all I got.
Yeah.
But if that's going 5, I find guys plan
it's way different. Guys
plan way different too,
and you train way different. There's so much different to it.
I think just for the average Joe watching the 3-round fights make for way more exciting fights, especially when it's not for a title. I like 3-rounders all day long.
There's a ton of really smart people in MMA that really say that no fight should be 5 rounds, even title fight. There's a big push, just the miles it puts on guys and the damage.
I would love 5 rounds. That shit. I think that would be awesome.
But I think there's also, it's tough to do. That's one of those rule changes that are tough to make anytime because there's guys that are going to be champions that depend on those rounds, right? It changes it.
That they lean on their cardio, they lean on their ability to have fight IQ and wait a guy out,
and to go into deep waters and know it doesn't matter if I am so tired. Like we saw, a bad example because it was a 3-round fight, but both Khamzat and Gilbert were dog tired, but they knew that they both have dog mentalities that they are not going to give up. You saw how they were throwing punches at the end of the fight because they were so tired, but they just know they're not going to give up. There's guys in the UFC that when they get that tired, this is going to be tough because you never want to chirp old Derek Lewis, but he's one of those guys where if he ever gets that tired, he's going to shell up, he's going to go down, right? He doesn't have that in him, right? He's going to live to fight another day. Where there's guys that I don't care, take me out on my shield, right? The Frankie Edgars, the Max Holloways, right? There's different guys, and that really changes the picture. So it's hard to do mid-career to change a rule that's that big when all the aspirations, but then the rule never changes because you're never going to have a time. There's no off season. That's what I'm trying to say. It's hard to make a change like that, but there is some people that talk about it, right? And there's just history too about it of 5-round fights and all that stuff. But I think there's lots to talk about the benefits of a 3-round fight. And for my money, I'm with you. I think the 3-round fights are just so exciting. They're awesome, right? But then you get into those times where a 3-round fight and you're like, fuck, I wish there was 2 more rounds. What's a couple lately that
Khamzat Chimaev, Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, right? One of those fights, I would love 2 more rounds in the spot. You never know. Then we had Mackenzie Dern, who I think you called for her to have the win.
Yeah.
I think you were even saying decision, right?
I said decision, I think.
That was another good call. And then I think you called Marco Madsen beating Vince Michel.
Yeah.
That's the decision I didn't like.
You didn't like that decision?
I didn't like that decision.
I thought Marco was not up to snuff in that one, or what?
I don't know. Thinking back, I think it's probably me of just sour grapes of just the way the fight went.
I told you that's how it was going to go. I watched Mark Madsen's last 2-3 fights have been the exact same, and he just bored me to sin. And I think he maybe did enough on points, but I just think
the way you look at that as a judge is he didn't really do any damage. He didn't like Vince Pichel was, I don't know. I just didn't like.
But what did Pichel do?
I think, okay, here, I'll say Marco Madsen won that fight, but he didn't leave a good taste in my mouth. That's probably the breakdown of that one, right? But you called it, right? Ian Gary got, first time we've seen him in the UFC, go 3 rounds, second fight in the UFC, but good little fight, right? Darian Weeks was a little bit kind of awkward, so he couldn't really get his time, but then in the third round, when he did get his timing down, looked elite and just great on the mic, did well, right? Nice rising star. Good for him. Great for the UFC to see that happen. It was a nice little touch. Anthony Hernandez looked amazing. You watched that fight?
I did.
Okay, that was a really good fight. He's that guy that came out and was fighting that. He was kind of the guy that they fed to that jiu-jitsu guy that came in and was like, had won everything in jiu-jitsu. Everyone was so excited about coming in and just gassed hard in the first round. In the third round, Anthony Hernandez submitted him. Yeah. And this was his next fight, and he came in, looked awesome. I was kind of expecting, I thought they're just throwing this kid another fight because he came in as a sacrificial lamb against him. He looked awesome. He completely wowed me. I completely didn't expect that. Raquel Pennington, Aspen Ladd, unbelievable fight. I thought it was like one of the best female fights
I didn't see any of the prelims. I was at work that night.
It was a great fight. Rocky boxed Aspen Ladd's face off. Aspen Ladd is, to me, looked worse and worse almost every fight in the last couple she's had. I think she's one of those people that just kind of lacks the killer instinct. Yeah. She's a nice person. I think like you kind of need a little bit. Similar, remember Corey Sandhagen, how he was fighting for a while and then he had that loss and he realized I need to mentally get into a place of like war, like where I am going to, and then he starts doing that. He visualizes in the back and he gets into this almost like frenzy where he's like in there to hurt people. Yes. Right. And he's a real nice guy, but that's what it needs. And now he's a completely different fighter.
Every fighter needs that.
Right. I think some guys have that innate, right? I think like a Nate Diaz, he doesn't need any of that. He goes in, he likes to scrap, right? But I think there's people
naturally.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. But I think people like Aspen Ladd that don't need to figure out some way to pull that out of him because it just seemed like she was lacking that, right? And then comes down like, I'm not going to go through the whole card. I'm just going to go to the one more fight because this is what I want to get down to was Mike Malott, who I picked as like the Canadian boy, and Mickey Gall, who, and what I said is like, they're giving him a big name for it. I think they see what it was. Not only did he have a great knockout, when he got the mic, he was unbelievable. I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. Like, I was just so excited for him of like this guy who gets this huge opportunity, has dreamed about it for so long. He's one of those guys that watched UFC when he's 8 years old, has loved this, and it's been his goal forever. Right? Good Canadian kid. Got on the mic. It was awesome. Talked about like the dream it was, and then shouts out the OnlyFans, the GoFundMe.
Welcome my OnlyFans.
The GoFundMe for his coach's kid who's 15 and has cancer and like got the whole around, and it was like tearing up, like just pure emotion. You could see it. And then his post fight, like the press conference after was amazing. Like he was given a lot. He was given an opportunity, right? Given a lot of an opportunity, if you will. And he just knocked it out of the park, like in every single way. Like I'm so fucking proud of what he did. Like, I love that shit. And now with like UFC gave him the ball and the T-ball, he cranked it out of the park. And now I'm just excited to see what they give him next because that changes everything for him coming in. And finally we have someone to be excited about for like, Canadian MMA. We have lots of guys, Angel just had a good win. And there's a couple guys, but I don't know. Something feels special about this one. I was so happy to see it, right? Fired up.
Do you think he legit has that potential to
it's so hard
step up and get in a top 15, get ranked?
I think he's one of those guys where he doesn't look like an Ian Gary or like a Hamzat where it's like, holy fuck, where is this guy's ceiling? But it's like, everybody we've seen him against, he looks really good. And you just kind of got to keep giving him increasing. So I think if he's managed right, I think he could have it. We just don't know yet. But I think there's enough of like, he looks to have the building blocks and like the infrastructure. That's not the right word. The
building structure.
The building structure. Yeah, whatever. He's got the pieces, right? Yeah. There's so much can go wrong in this game. It's hard to ever say what a guy has or doesn't, but I'm excited. I'm really excited. So that was awesome. That kind of was what really kicked it off. Alexi Oleinik had another fucking scarf hold finish. That was unreal. Kay Hansen, the biggest OnlyFans in UFC, she lost again. And then Julio Arce had a nice win. That was a card. That was a great card. Top to bottom. It was stacked. I told you guys to watch it. If you missed it, too bad. And then this weekend's card, not the greatest. Maybe calling it poo is a little bit of a tough one, but yeah, Vicente Luque, Bilal Muhammad main event, great main event, but kind of gets pretty touchy. Kyle Bahayo. He's the guy that was on the Contender Series. He beat my guy that the shirt. Oh, I'm not wearing the shirt anymore. Aaron Jeffrey. No, I was wearing. You know that shirt I wear? It's like got like the hair and the mustache. Aaron Jeffrey, who's been on this podcast, right? CFFC middleweight champion, just got signed to Bellator. Let's go. Fuck yeah. He lost to Kyle Bahayo on the Contender Series, but they didn't give Bahayo a contract. They brought him back like the next week. He fought again, walked through this guy, got a contract, and now this is his first fight in the UFC. And he's really good. I'm excited for him, but he's the co-main. So a guy coming on his UFC debut is the co-main.
Wow.
Right. So like, yeah, it doesn't say much for the card. And like all of these are, Pat Samatini, TJ Laramie's a Canadian kid. He's fighting, and that's kind of exciting. But Devin Clark, William Knight, remember we saw him in this weight like crazy. He's fighting.
Isn't that the what's his name? The guy who does
close.
The spinning, the big
Chris Barnett.
heavyweight.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. Yeah, he's fighting. It's like, and Jordan Leavitt. Like, there's tons of like my personal favorites, but like for guys that are there for names and stuff, there's not much for you. But there is good fights. Like the Monkey, have you seen the Monkey King?
The Chase recommendation, if you're going to tune in for one fight, tune into Chris Barnett.
Yeah,
that guy is electric.
Factory, baby.
God.
Now, how often do you see a guy that cuts to 265 throwing wheel kicks and shit?
Yeah,
he's awesome. And just like personality, great on the mic. He's a fucking star. And he's been a star in all these little organizations until he made it to the UFC. So like there is Drakkar Klose is fighting, like Leon Landsberg. There's a couple. Devin Clark, I don't know. I'll watch it because I'm a mutant and I love all this shit. I'm going to be watching every fight. But if you're looking for a weekend to miss, this is not one to really mark down on your
hunker
calendars.
Down, watch the Oilers game at 2 and then head out on the town.
Yeah, exactly. Get in it. Yeah, you miss the fights. If something sick happens,
listen to the pod. We'll hear
a recap. Exactly. Anything we missed? So a couple things to wrap it up. Keep entering, share this post or the last post if you want to get entered for the draw. The game's going to be on Wednesday.
We'll announce that Sunday night.
Keep sending it in if you have any more segment ideas. Those are great. We're pretty happy with Oilers Uncensored for a title, I think. But if you think of something that you think might be even better or really captures the fuckery that we get up to on this thing, Oilers for Fuck Goose, perhaps. I don't know, something like that. We're not stuck to it by any means. We're happy with it, but if you have something better, we didn't get any recommendations. So if someone even wants to take a swing at it, you sure can. Other than that, we'll be here every week to break down some Oilers, some fights, whatever's going on in the NHL.
2 more weeks till playoffs.
And I am excited. Playoffs. Practice. I'm talking about practice. Oh, that's good shit. Anything to add?
No, I don't think so. I think that's it. Good.
Just tell everybody we love them.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.